Everybody's waiting. We can start 30 seconds early. Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Steen. Present. Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Present.
Councilmember Hagan.
Present.
Fisher.
Present.
Enright.
Present.
King.
Present.
Austin.
Present.
Helly.
Present.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Item number 1 is the motion for adoption of the agenda. We need a motion.
So moved.
Is there all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Number 2 is a motion approving the minutes from October 15th and October 29th, 2018. We need a motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Recognitions and awards under the consent agenda. Number 4. Well, we just need a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Number 5. How long you guys had to wait? Receiving bids for low-rate filter building demolition. Stephen.
We recently received bids for the low-rate filter building demolition, which is located at the wastewater treatment plant. We had 9 bidders with a wide variety of bids. Everyone looked at it a little bit differently. We set up the bids so that we had a base bid for a removal of the majority of the building structure. It's about a 40,000 square foot building. It used to be used as part of the treatment process and was its use was no longer needed in about 1997 after we built our current trickling filter building. So it's been sitting there kind of in the center of the plant for about 20 years. And with our plans to make improvements down at the wastewater treatment plant, that's a pretty valuable space there right in the middle of the plant. So we wanted to look at options for getting rid of that building. Or as we looked at the alternates, possibly leaving the outer walls in place and then building something new in the center. But that's why we put a couple alternates in the bid so we kind of evaluate what the prices were. So in this case, we had our base bid, which included removal of all the piping, the roof, wood structure, the aggregate base that is inside of the concrete walls, and also the upper concrete walls would be removed as part of the base bid. Alternate number 1 was to remove some lower walls on the north, east, and south sides. And then alternate number 2 was to remove an upper wall on the west side. So with the bid prices, we have Koch Incorporated. They were the low bidder, including base bid, alternate number 1, and alternate number 2. Their total bid is $186,500. And for this project, we would recommend awarding the base bid and both alternates in that total amount, $186,500 to Koch Inc., with cost for this project coming out of our wastewater treatment plant budget.
Stephen, I just have one question. It lists the budget at $150,000, so then we're at $186,500. Is that work for?
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll just have to adjust future projects. We looked at it and think that it's a pretty good value to add those alternates in instead of having to work around them in the future. Okay. So that's why we'd recommend adding those alternates and increasing that overall budget.
Thank you.
Council, anybody else? Questions, comments? If not, we need a resolution.
So move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Hagan.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
You gentlemen are the Kochs, so you represent them?
Yeah, Tim Koch here.
Okay, well, it's all done. I mean, it was... I hate to see you go, you're half our audience. But
So our next steps with that is we'll work with Hoverston's office to develop a contract like we always do, get that out to the contractor to get that signed, and we have, I think we have a June 1st completion date, so we'll work to complete that demolition through the winter and early spring.
Okay, good.
Mayor, it's been brought to my attention by a couple of the staff members that there is a typographical error in the resolution.
Number 5?
Yeah, bid indicates that Coke is the highest bidder, should be the lowest bidder.
Okay, we get that thing. Okay, well, that's noted. Tom, do we need to
No,
redo
we're good.
anything? Okay, we'll just note that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Holverstein. Number 6 is resolution approving change orders for the North Main Flood Mitigation Project, Phase 1. Stephen?
So with larger projects like our North Main Flood Control Project, as we go through the construction, we will work with the contractors to, as changes arise on the project, we will approve them administratively to keep things going, and then after the project is complete, we'll bring them back to council for a financial approval to include them in the budget. So in this case, we have the North Main Flood Control Project, which had an original bid of $1,682,000. Throughout the course of construction, we had 3 different change orders on the project. One was for contaminated soil excavation. The other one was for buried structure removal, disposing of some, getting into a couple things that we weren't sure how we would, what would all be there. So a couple surprises on the project with change orders 1 and 2. And then change order number 3 was adding some electrical fixtures and some miscellaneous lighting, and that was something that we thought of a little bit after the project to add some lighting along the new trail that was constructed on the very easterly side of the project to make sure that there was enough sufficient lighting for the trail. So with this project, the change orders amount to just over $100,000, $100,560.63. Through the process, for instance, change order number 1 and other cost factors that we were able to incorporate into the project as we got out there and started looking at what sort of soils we had in place, how far we had to go with excavation and removals, we actually were able to save about $400,000 on the project through saved construction costs. So with that, we had our original bid of $1,682,000. To date, our construction costs are $1,328,000. If we add back in the $100,000 of change orders, we're at the total cost to date of $1,429,000, which is about 85% of the original budget. So with that, we would recommend approval for funding for change orders number 1, 2, and 3 for the North Main Flood Control Project.
We can do that one bid, right? Or one resolution. All right, thank you. Council, any comments or questions? Seems like a no-brainer.
So move the resolution?
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert?
Councilmember Hagan.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Number 7 is a resolution. I think we're going to cruise through this meeting. I think maybe we should be taking some time and explaining a little stuff to George, if the people don't mind. I don't think this is a critical, or doesn't look like a long meeting, but what we're doing now, George, is like donations to the city. Tom, explain that a little bit, would you? Because I'm not real clear on it.
Statutorily, we are supposed to approve any donations to the city council or to the citizens or the city of Austin by resolution. So each month, whether it's the fire department, flowers, whatever it might be, anytime we get a donation from somebody, these folks here actually have to approve it. Now, in my 20-plus years here, they've taken every donation I'm aware of. I don't ever think they've denied one, but it's just a standard process. Every meeting we go through to say, okay, here's the donors. Like this month, we have $2,200 donated to the K-9 program, and firefighting hoods donated to the fire department. So it's just one of them formalities the council have to accept that by state statute for it to be an authorized donation.
George, I apologize. We're going through this meeting and last meeting like you just bump on the log. We'll try and pull you in and involve you a little bit and explain things. If, like the next one, well, let's do 7 first. We need a resolution for 7.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Tom?
Councilmember Hagan.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 8 is a resolution approving a fixed annuity contract with Nationwide Retirement Solutions. Trish? Craig?
Oh, yes. Essentially, Nationwide
contacted us and let us know that there's several options we have for retirement solutions for our employees. We're suggesting option number 3. This is their default option. I feel like it's the best one given our demographic and utilization from our employees. Council action is requested to approve that agreement.
Any questions or comments? If there are none, we need a resolution for item number 8.
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Hagan.
Aye.
Fisher. Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 9 is a motion. A lot of this stuff, George, is explained right as we, like, you know, we'll read them and then we'll call on Jim and he'll explain this a little bit and, you know, so you'll see as we go along. Okay, 9 is a motion approving the donation of surplus equipment to the Mauer County Historical Society. Jim?
Mayor, Council, as we clean out the station, we come across some obsolete items that we like to declare as surplus and donate them for historical purposes to the Historical Society of Mauer County.
Any questions? We need a motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10 is a series of motions. And this is dealing with, these are dilapidated houses that we kind of get on their butt a little bit. It's either fix them or we start a process of fixing them and charging them and things like that. But we need to first declare them. I don't know what we need to declare. Holly, what do we need to declare before we can do anything?
So these are instances where there's something that the city needs to take action on, usually a cleanup or to tow a vehicle. So we're asking the council to pass a resolution to allow us the power to do that.
So if I call because my neighbor's grass is 2 feet high, that would be end up here and then we take action on it? Is that-
No, actually, Park and Rec would handle that, and they have a contractor who would actually mow the lawn, and then the party would most likely, Kim can probably speak to this, but would most likely receive a fine if it was a
This is
repetitive.
structural. We're looking at structural stuff here.
Junk.
Okay.
Yeah, junk removal essentially.
Cars that aren't registered.
Okay.
Nuisance, public nuisance.
So, then 10 is, I think I read it already, right? Granting the Planning and Zoning Department the power to contract for the removal of junk and/or illegally stored vehicles at A 604 9th Avenue Northwest, the Dietrich property. We need a motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? B 1004 5th Avenue Northwest, the Marquardt property. We need a motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 301, C is 305 1st Avenue Southwest of the Mar Messerschmitt property. We need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There's no citizens here, so I'm not even going to ask unless, you know,
Unless
anybody
Mike
want
wants
to
to be a
address the council?
citizen.
Honorary council member comments. George, I realize we've been kind of ignoring you, but, you know, after the meeting, if you don't, I don't know that we can interrupt the meetings too much. You know, we can't, but after the meetings, you know, ask us, you know, I hope you're taking notes, and you can ask any of the council members questions or any of the staff, okay? I think we need to, okay. Did you have, how do you think it's going so far?
Pretty good, pretty good. I don't know, is this
This is average meeting.
is the time for me to, you guys need, honorary members, we call it comments? How do I put this?
I can't hear. What do you say?
Mr. Mayor, it's a little confusing because
confusing because George and I were looking at the agenda here, but on the committee agenda, you've got comments, a
Yeah, I
time
have
for comments too. So
Okay.
he was wondering when he's supposed to make his comments.
Well, you could speak twice, yes.
Well, that was the
We got-
confusion.
We got enough time for that, right, Tom?
Yeah, and you know, what Mr. Holverstein has told us is, you can't do what an ordinary citizen can't do. But an ordinary citizen, if they're back there and they have a question, even though it's not a public hearing, most of the time we let them ask their question or say something. That's all right, don't we, Mr. Holverstein? If we normally do that.
Right, that's at the discretion. That's at the discretion of the council.
Yeah.
They're only obligated to hear citizen comments at public hearings, but they have the legal right to listen to comments by the citizens with regard to matters
Yeah.
of city business, yes.
And some nights we're really, really busy, but, you know, a night like tonight, it's a short agenda, we have a short work session, we'd be more than happy to, you know, give you any information we can share with you and help you better understand the process.
It might be helpful, Holly, to explain, the people that, the individuals or property owners that have gotten this action happened, there was a process that happened before it got to us. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Our ordinance lays out the procedure for which we bring these matters to the council. We usually get a complaint or we observe a violation of an ordinance. We then send a letter to the property owner and give them time to become compliant with our ordinance. Some people will call us or come in and talk to us. There is a set amount of time, but sometimes we'll extend that if there's some circumstances that allow for it. But ultimately, if the issue is ignored, then we bring it to council and we will clean up the nuisance. And lots of times it is like something like garbage that could attract, you know, animals or rodents or, and then just blow around, and it's things that are really disruptive or disturbing to neighbors and people in the neighborhood.
Okay, so, your comment section, it's right, apparently, you may not have it, but it's right, honorary council member comments. And then after that, we do reports, so you'll see, we do reports and then we close the meeting, so. Anything else?
No, I follow, absolutely, that should work.
Okay. Let's start with Judy again.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Steve?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Jeff?
Just want to encourage everyone to vote tomorrow.
Yeah.
Your vote does count and does matter, so get out and vote. If you haven't already. You can't vote again.
Well, we are having a lot of people vote early, I guess, according to Ann. Like, is this the most we've ever had?
Yes, the county is reporting that absentee voting is skyrocketed for this election. So, yeah, we've had a lot of people go out and vote early, which is good. So we're still expecting a strong turnout at the polls tomorrow.
Okay, good. Janet?
I just want to reiterate Jeff's comment to vote. The first time I ran for city council, I lost by 17 votes. So every vote counts. So make sure that, you know, when people think that it, you know, that it's doesn't really matter if they vote or not, it does. So it's your right, it's your responsibility, and I encourage you all to vote. If you're 18 or over, vote. You can register, and we have registration, on-site registration. Is that correct, Ann? People can register at the polls tomorrow if they haven't already registered.
We make it extremely easy to do in Minnesota, and Ann does a good job here, so there's no reason not to vote. Laura?
I just want to share with the public that there's a World War I film festival Saturday at the Paramount Theater. We're able to do this in partnership with Austin's Veterans Organizations and the National Armistice Centennial Committee. It's 100 years since the World War I armistice. So there'll be films starting at 11 a.m. and running all day. It's a free will donation. You can come and see just the one you want, or you can come and stay all day. But we're thankful for the American Legion posts, VFW, Disabled American Veterans, and Beyond the Yellow Ribbon for partnering on this. And you can find more on our website, austinareaarts.org.
Will that have the films and the times?
Yep, it'll have the films and a description and the times.
And it's Artwork Center?
Nope, it's at the Paramount.
But to find it, that's scheduled, they go to the Artwork Center?
It's austinareaarts.org.
austinareaarts.org, okay. Thank you, Laura.
Thank
Dave?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Greg?
I don't have anything, but Ann and Kim Underwood have a couple items.
Let's start with Ann. I'm sorry, Kim.
So tomorrow the polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. You can go on our website or our Facebook page to find a link to where you can find where you vote and also see a sample ballot. And yes, you can register tomorrow at the polls, and that would show you also on the Secretary of State's page exactly what you would need to register at the polls. If citizens have questions, they can call City Hall and we can help them.
What do they need as far as identification? I mean, is it?
The best way to register to vote is a current driver's license.
Okay.
If you do not have that, then you need a photo ID plus one other document that proves where you live at your residence. So like a utility bill, or a water bill, or.
And if you have a driver's license with the wrong address, same thing, you take in a utility or water
That's
bill?
correct, because then you have identification and then plus a document that proves you live at that residence.
Great.
Is having someone vouch for you acceptable?
Yep, vouching is an option. You can have someone vouch that lives in the same precinct as you. So you can't take somebody from across town. It's the proximity issue that you should know your neighbors around you. So you can have someone come and vouch for you, but they cannot be vouched for also. So they need to be a registered voter that day.
Thank you.
And we traditionally have pretty high turnout here, don't we?
We do. Minnesota has really high turnout, but Austin is usually above the Minnesota average.
Okay, well, thank you, Ann. Big day tomorrow, huh? You did a good job on it. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just want everyone to know that curling open house will be Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. at Packer Arena. So bring some clean, dry tennis shoes, layer up, and come and try some curling for free.
This is like not the curling your hair type stuff.
It is not the curling your hair.
You're putting on a clinic for curling your hair.
Well, you never know.
Right, but this is a sport now,
Yes,
right?
it is.
And isn't it even an Olympic sport?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
so it's cool. People should learn about it.
It's fun.
I should learn about it, I guess. Brian?
Now's your chance.
Yeah.
Mayor and Council, I just want to remind you, 2 weeks from today, on the 19th, we will be swearing in 2 new officers at 9:30 in the morning here in the council chambers, and they should be also available to be introduced to you 5:30 that evening.
You said at 9:30?
9:30 on the 19th in the morning here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Will that bring us up to?
That will bring us back to full staff again.
And then we retest? We don't, but that's up to the commission, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Is full staff 34?
Correct. We have 32 right now, and this will get us back to our 34.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Anything else? Nope. I don't have anything, so we need a motion to adjourn to Monday, November 19th, 2018 at 5:30 in the council chambers.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I gotta change that last statement shorter. I mean,